Well, guys, once again, good evening. Welcome to the second part of our session. Well, on the first part, you were finishing Unit 10, and tonight we are going to start Unit 11. On this first part of our unit, let me display this for a moment. We will be talking about rules, and of course, there is a grammatical component talking about rules and permissions, in present. So that is going to be like the context of this first part of the unit. There will be a speaking activity once again, where one of each group will be like the speaker based on the different, let's say, aspects that we will be discussing tonight. Well, some of you are already like missing, but as you know, guys, we have to take attendance. So I'm gonna do it now so we can start officially with the topics that we have for tonight. Okay, one person is waiting there. Gerson Arismendi.
Hi, teacher.
Hello. Keiner Baez.
I'm here, teacher.
Jean-Claude Barrera.
Present, teacher.
Yesid Calderón. Not here. Natalia Camargo. Okay, she already informed. William Andrés Castrillón.
Hi, teacher.
Hi, William. Andrés Camilo Correa. Not yet. Andrés Corredor.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Silvia Natalia Cuellar.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Johan Alberto Duque.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Elkin Darío Fernández. Not here yet. Julián Jesús Figueroa.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Janet Valentina Fontecha.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Carlos Andrés Galán. Carlos. Wait, Carlos, your volume is really low. Just like to let you know, I almost listen like really like far away. Okay, Carlos, that you are in the chat, but as I told you, the volume of the microphone was like way too low. Hopefully it gets better during the session. Yeah, actually, because I saw that you opened the microphone and I really heard like really far away, to be honest. Okay, Carlos, that's okay. Mabel y Juliet Gamboa.
Present, teacher.
Okay, José Alejandro Gómez. Not here for the moment. Lizeth Carolina Tarazona.
Present, teacher.
Okay, and Brian Camilo Vargas.
Present, teacher.
Okay, very good. So the ones that are not here. Carlos is already here. Jose Alejandro. Let me see the chat. Okay, Elkin is here now. Okay. And some of you that they didn't take part of the session from the beginning, so I think that maybe they won't take part of the session as well on this second part. Very good. Well, guys, as I was telling you, we're going to begin our unit 11, like officially, we're going to have a look at this new unit. Also, I really hope that you have started working on the activities in Moodle. You already know, guys, that we have only until Friday next week to do all the activities that we have in our course. We're going to start our unit 11. So as usual, let's have a look at the different aspects that we will be studying on our unit. In terms of grammar, we will be talking about obligation and permission in present, also obligation and permission in the past. So from this, let's say, information that we see from here, we can already predict that this unit is going to be about modals. In terms of vocabulary, we will be talking about linking words and also crime and punishment, the task, discuss, new laws, and language life, expressing and responding to opinions. That is going to be the idea of this unit. So let me go back to the presentation. We're going to start with a warm-up activity. This is basically the first activity that we had on the book, just like to display it on this way. So just like to organize the information, but it's exactly what you have on your book. Probably you already know, but we are talking about pages 106 and 107. I'm gonna read this instruction for you. It says, choose one of the following places and write down one rule that you would find in it. You are going to write your sentences on Mentimeter. I'm gonna send you the link, of course, where you're going to write that rule that you find on that place that you are going to choose. Which are the places that we have in here? Motorways, airports, classrooms, websites, libraries, nightclubs, swimming pools, parks, and open spaces. So, some of you still have the number on your name from the other day. There you have the link. Remember, guys, choose one of these places. I'm sure that the vocabulary is pretty simple. You know what each word is related to. And write down one rule. Okay, for the moment, I'm not asking you any grammatical, let's say, structure in particular. Just choose the place and write down the rule that you usually find on those places. Okay. Guys, do you have any questions about the instructions?
No, teacher.
Very good. I'm gonna
No,
yes. Okay, good. I'm gonna keep displayed this slide because on the Mentimeter, well, the image doesn't appear like all complete. Let's put it like that. While you choose, while you write down that rule that you find on that place, you're gonna have 5 minutes. Of course, as you can imagine, because it's our warm-up, the idea is to write something very short, very precise. I'm not asking you to give like a full description. No. That's not like the activity yet. Okay. You already have the link in the chat. 5 minutes starting now. Okay. Let's have a look at some of the answers that you have already sent. There are 11 out of 15. Well, I think that the other 4 will appear in a moment. Now, rule is impossible. There must be some rules. From swimming pools, do not eat in the pool. Absolutely. Libraries, not scream. You must keep silence in the room. Okay. Don't exceed the speed limit. On the motorway, you cannot be stopped without reason. Okay, that's important. Yes, Carlos, tell me in the chat. We can write anything in the books of the library. That's thank you, Carlos. Yeah, look, number 1, someone says don't rules. First of all, it is not written correctly. I don't know what you mean when you say don't rules. I don't know what that means. In this case, this person talking about the pools, something that we know, we are not like, okay, I'm gonna read exactly what it says. Do not eat in the pool. In the library is not screamed. You must keep silence in the room. Don't exceed the speed limit. I was in this one when Carlos let me know that I wasn't displaying my screen. On the matter when you cannot be stopped without reason, you can't write anything in the books of the library, absolutely. Libraries, in libraries you can't talk loudly. You mustn't make noise with any object. And you must respect the privacy of other people, okay? Now littering, absolutely. Well, but in which place? Well, I think that it applies to almost everything. Websites as blogs are likely to disappear for the array of other tools to find information as ChatGPT. No entiendo esta oración. Yeah, because we were talking about rules, you know, on these places. So, although the information is like correct, let's put it like that, and it is like something that is currently being like a prediction, a very possible prediction. Technically, it doesn't match what I was asking you in this case, guys. So, classroom, I cannot eat there. That is like supposed to be. Don't forget, I always in capital letter. Let's see this one about the swimming pool. Is not to run or engage in horseplay around the pool area. Absolutely. Wet surfaces can be slippery, and running and rough housing can easily lead to slips, falls, and injuries. That's the truth. Okay, guys, thank you very much. For the ones that send a rule, depending on the place, there were 2 sentences that I didn't get, the ones about don't rules and the one about talking the chat GPT. All right, guys, I'm going to go back to my presentation that basically contains some images taken from the book. And here we have the questions that you guys are going to answer with a listening exercise that we are going to do. Andres Felipe, could you read questions number 1 and number 2, please?
Yes. Which place in exercise?
Exercise.
In exercise, one is each person talking about. Find the photo that the rules refer to.
Very good. You're gonna listen, guys, to 5 people, okay? These 5 people are talking about some rules. The idea, guys, is that you match, let's put it like that, the rules that they are talking about with the pictures that we have in here. Probably, well, the letters are really tiny. Notice that here we have letter A, letter B, and then we have letter C up here. We have then letter D here in this board. E is up to here. We have F. Then on the second picture, we have G. We have H and we have I. Okay. So I know that the letters are really, really small, but I'm sure that you can have a look at them a little bit better on your books. Let's make kind of predictions, from the images that we have in here. Brian Camilo, if you look at picture A, which is this one, what do you think it is related to?
Teacher is a truck with, I can see a truck.
Mhm. A truck, yeah. Let's see the chat. William says a speed limit. Yeah, probably that picture is related to that, the speed limit. Thank you, William. Carlos, what about picture B? What do you think this picture is about? Keeping up
Yes,
like
teacher.
the context
Yes.
of rules and regulations.
Can you hear me?
Yes, actually it sounds better, Carlos.
Yes, teacher. In this picture, the teacher do the class and the student see the mobile phone.
Okay, so what rule do you think they are talking about on picture B?
Yes, don't see the mobile phone.
Okay, we'll see. Thank you, Carlos. What about picture C? Elkin, what do you think this picture is related to talking about rules and regulations?
I think that this advertisement is referred to you are in a diversion park.
Amusement park.
Amusement park, excuse me.
Mhm.
There is an attraction, and that is the restriction to that attractions. Under 21, only under 21 person, excuse me, they should have that age.
They should be.
Yeah, they should be that age for I don't know how do you say subir up.
Riding.
Driving.
Riding, like motorcycles or things or bicycles, riding. Okay. We'll see. Good. Thank you for your prediction, Elkin. What about picture E? Jeanette. It says click here to show that you agree on the terms and conditions. What do you think this rule is about?
Teacher, when we download an app or a website, and this is the text for you agree or disagree or enter in that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jeanette. What about picture F, Jean-Claude? What do you think this rule is about? It says staff only.
Okay, teacher, is about a place that only staff can enter in the room. Yes, with an identification or other card. Yeah, I think.
Okay, we'll see. What about picture G, Gerson?
Okay, teacher. In this way, only can use to cycle path or transit people in this way.
Okay, we'll see. What about picture H, Johan? It says caution, a slippery surface.
It's not the fell, he fell, and caution.
Okay, but, well, you said he fell unconscious. That was almost like what it was there. We'll see. The final picture says I'm sure that you can see well. Actually, it says no hats or hoodies. Please remove your hood, cap, or helmet before entering these premises. Jose, what do you think that picture is about? Talking about the rules.
The bus infringe the rules.
The bus?
Yes. O sea, the bus pass away.
Picture I?
Okay, teacher. So, sí, yes, teacher. The bus, or is a camiona.
Oh my God, that's picture
¿La
A.
estoy
And
viendo muy
we
mal?
already talked about picture A. I'm talking about picture I. The last picture.
I'm so sorry, teacher.
Mhm. So what can you guess from picture I?
That the picture forbids the use of hats to the persons who go to this place, I think.
Okay, that was better, Jose. Thank you very much. All right, guys, I'm gonna display the instruction that we have on the book, just in case we have already done the first one. As I was telling you, we're gonna listen to 5 people. They are complaining about a rule they find annoying. Guys, do you remember the meaning of annoying, right? What's annoying?
Molesto.
Very
When
good.
you, okay.
Oh, okay. And we already used the translation. I think that was pretty clear. Thank you. So remember, we had a look at the pictures, like predicting, as much as possible. 5 people talking about those rules. So let's see, first of all, to which of these images, the ones that we already predicted, they are talking about, and why they find the rules annoying. Okay, guys, as usual, what I've been repeating a lot in this type of listening exercises, the idea, guys, is for you to write down and to take some notes. There are 5 people, talking about the rule and why they find it annoying. The track, well, I haven't clicked. Well, it takes around 3 minutes. So that means that you have to pay a lot of attention. We're gonna play it only twice because that is also already more than 6 minutes. And of course, then we're going to check your answer. So first of all, the 5 people, which of the images that we already, let's say, analyzed, they are talking about, and then why they find the rules annoying. Guys, did you have any questions about the instructions?
No, teacher, thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you. Let me share sound and let's start.
One thing that really annoys me is when there are parks and open spaces and they have signs saying no ball games. I mean, everyone complains about children these days not getting enough exercise and hanging around on street corners and things. But then they don't allow them to play anywhere or do anything. Kids should have the right to play in public places. Otherwise, they're going to get into trouble, aren't they?
2. One thing that really annoys me is speed cameras on motorways. I mean, everyone breaks the law on motorways, don't they? I don't even think speeding on motorways is really dangerous. I think the police should be really tough on people who speed in towns and cities, because obviously that can be dangerous. But speed cameras and speeding fines on motorways are just a way for the government to make money, aren't they? Why don't the police spend their time catching real criminals instead?
3. One rule that really annoys me is that you always have to tick the box to say that you've read the terms and conditions on a website. If you want to buy something or, I don't know, become a member of something, then you've got to tick that box, and you're not allowed to continue if you don't tick the box. And that's really unfair. And there are usually about 100 pages of terms and conditions. I mean, who reads all of that? I know I should read it, but I don't. And I don't think anyone does. And anyway, even if I did read it, I wouldn't be able to understand it. It's crazy. It really annoys me.
4.
I think it's really unfair that mobile phones are banned in class and even in some restaurants and places. I mean, I know it's illegal to use your phone when you're driving or something like that, and that's perfectly reasonable because obviously it's dangerous. But there's no point in banning phones in schools. They're part of everyone's life now, and everyone looks at their phone if they quickly want to get some information on the internet or whatever. Okay, maybe there should be rules about what you can and can't do with your phone. I mean, obviously you shouldn't be allowed to have a phone conversation in the middle of a lesson, but it's not fair to actually ban phones.
5.
One thing that really annoys me is having to show ID to go into nightclubs and bars. I'm 23 and I still have to show ID to prove that I'm over 18. It's ridiculous. People say I ought to be pleased that I look young, but I'm not. It drives me mad.
Unit 11, Recording 1. 1. One thing that really annoys me is when there are parks and open spaces and they have signs saying no ball games. I mean, everyone complains about children these days not getting enough exercise and hanging around on street corners and things. But then they don't allow them to play anywhere or do anything. Kids should have the right to play in public places. Otherwise, they're going to get into trouble, aren't they? 2.
One thing that really annoys me is speed cameras on motorways. I mean, everyone breaks the law on motorways, don't they? I don't even think speeding on motorways is really dangerous. I think the police should be really tough on people who speed in towns and cities, because obviously that can be dangerous. But speed cameras and speeding fines on motorways are just a way for the government to make money, aren't they? Why don't the police spend their time catching real criminals instead?
3.
One rule that really annoys me is that you always have to tick the box to say that you've read the terms and conditions on a website. If you want to buy something or, I don't know, become a member of something, then you've got to tick that box, and you're not allowed to continue if you don't tick the box. And that's really unfair. And there are usually about 100 pages of terms and conditions. I mean, who reads all of that? I know I should read it, but I don't. And I don't think anyone does. And anyway, even if I did read it, I wouldn't be able to understand it. It's crazy. It really annoys me.
4.
I think it's really unfair that mobile phones are banned in class and even in some restaurants and places. I mean, I know it's illegal to use your phone when you're driving or something like that, and that's perfectly reasonable because obviously it's dangerous. But there's no point in banning phones in schools. They're part of everyone's life now, and everyone looks at their phone if they quickly want to get some information on the internet or whatever. Okay, maybe there should be rules about what you can and can't do with your phone. I mean, obviously you shouldn't be allowed to have a phone conversation in the middle of a lesson, but it's not fair to actually ban phones.
5.
One thing that really annoys me is having to show ID to go into nightclubs and bars. I'm 23 and I still have to show ID to prove that I'm over 18. It's ridiculous. People say I ought to be pleased that I look young, but I'm not. It drives me mad.
Okay, guys, I'm sure that you took a lot of notes. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to organize your ideas, probably to complete some phrases that you wrote, and then we're going to check the answers. 2 minutes starting now. Okay. I hope that you managed to complete your ideas. Well, first, the idea was to identify from the first set of places which of them they were talking about. So, on the first conversation, Julian, which of these places was, let's say, discussed on that part? Julian?
Parks, open space.
Very good. Do you remember which letter is that from the images?
No. Then,
So which image would that be?
E. E?
Let's see, is it E? Well, actually it's D, right? It is D, Carlos and Ginette, very good. Let me share the whole screen. So, would be D, that's it. Let's have a look at the next well, it's not a conversation, it was more like a speech, right? Tainer, the second person. What is she talking about?
Yes, teacher. She speak about the speed cameras on motorways, and I think it's the picture A.
Very good. It's definitely picture A, absolutely. Let's see, Lisette, what about the third person? What is he talking about?
The third is talking about websites, and it is letter E.
Absolutely. The one that we had up here. Very good. Let's have a look at the next place, Mabeline. what place is she talking about?
Teacher, classrooms.
Very good. What picture is it?
B.
The one that we had in here. And the final person on the, once again, more like a speech, Silvia Natalia.
The number 6, that is about nightclubs.
Letter C. Very good. That was it. Well, 3 places that weren't mentioned were airports, libraries, and swimming pools. Well, I'm going to be here on this slide in particular, because remember that we had, let's say, a third question. We already listened again. And all of them, like, disagreed with the rules. There were some aspects that probably they kind of agreed on. But what was the thing or the regulation in particular that they found annoying? So let's begin with the first one. William. You already know that the first one was talking about parks and open spaces. So what did he say? Why is it annoying?
Teacher, I don't remember that. I remember the nightclubs.
You didn't take notes, William?
No, teacher, sorry.
When I tell you to take notes, it's because I know that you won't remember, guys. Okay. Andres Felipe.
Yes, teacher.
What about number 1? Why did he find that rule annoying?
I'm lost. Which rule?
The first one. In the listening, remember that the first person, when we started the track, is the
Yes.
person talking about parks and open spaces. That is, it was a guy talking about the rules in parks and open spaces. So what did he find annoying about that rule?
I didn't take attention. Sorry, teacher.
You know, that's something like very recurrent that I'm finding in this type of exercises, guys, that most of you don't pay attention. And then when I ask you, only few have like a real idea of what it was said.
Teacher,
Yes, Silvia.
can I say the answer?
Sure, absolutely.
He said that he found annoying the rules because we need to do exercise and parks are a place where you should do it, where you can do it, because it's an open space.
Absolutely. Thank you, Silvia. That's the idea. What about the second one? We already know that the second one was about motorways. Carlos.
Okay, teacher. I understand the speed cameras on the motorways is for police stuff. I maybe. Algo así decía.
You said it is for what?
Police stuff.
I get when you say police, but I don't get the final part, Carlos.
I don't understand this part, but I listen the tooth.
We'll see. Let's see, William. He's gonna help us on this part. Yes, William, you raise your hand.
Yes, teacher. She said like she thinks that in more ways it's not necessary have something like a speed limit because it's not too dangerous like the city, right? Or not?
That is one part and it is correct. Well, guys, you know, actually now that I remember what the next activity is going to be, if you didn't get information from the listening, please, this is the moment to take some notes, because with this information, we're going to do the collaborative activity on the next part. So if you don't know what they were talking about, then it would be kind of complicated for you to provide your insights on the next part. What William said was correct. Let's have a look at number 3. Elkin, we already know that number 3 was about websites. What is that the guy found annoying? Well, I said Elkin, or I don't know if I didn't say the name, sorry. I see that your mic is open, but technically I'm not getting any sound.
Excuse me, my microphone of de mi diadema is turned off.
Okay.
Once turned off. I have a small small memory about this person.
And
He's
you didn't take notes.
He's annoying. Yes, like short notes. Is about websites in terms and condition about a website. Es la preocupación más grande.
It's like his biggest concern, but there is something extra, you know, like to complement what you said is partly correct, but there was something extra that he said of how annoying, you know, the whole situation with terms and conditions is. I don't know if maybe Jeanette has something extra to, once again, like enrich what Elkin said.
Yes, teacher. The speaker found bored. Read all the conditions and politicians of the websites.
Policies.
He found it policies. He found it unnecessary.
Okay. That was like a keyword, like for them, they are boring. Very good. Thank you, Jeanette. Jean-Claude, what about number 4? The girl that was talking about schools.
Number 4, she thinks that it's not bad to use the cell phone because you can see any information you need at the moment.
Absolutely. That was general terms idea. And finally, Gerson, the woman talking about nightclubs and bars. What is her complaint?
Okay, teacher. I understood that she was talking about a restriction of age. So she is 23 years old, but she thinking that is a stupid that is provide or restrict inside a place when she was 18. I think that was it.
She's 23, absolutely, but it is not like the rule is stupid because of that. It is something like happens particularly to her. Let's ask Johan Alberto for some help to complement what you said.
Okay.
Thank you, Gerson. So Johan, how can we complement Gerson's answer?
Okay, teacher. And what I have a problem with my internet.
Okay. So no help. Okay. Don't worry, Johan, there will be a next time. Julian? How can we complement Gerson's answer? Julián Jesús.
Sorry, teacher, I don't know.
Okay. Oh my God, that's sad. I'm sure that is because we are all tired. Kainer. Help.
Yes, teacher. She said that she looks younger than her age because she has 23 years old.
She is.
And she is 23 years old. And when she go to nightclubs, always the word or in the entrance of the nightclub, I don't know how can I say, como que le piden la identificación.
So they ask for her ID.
They ask for her ID and she is really annoying for that.
Is annoyed. ED.
Okay.
Okay, Kainer, thank you very much. Yes, that was the reason. That is why I was like expecting that part in particular, you know. Very good. Thank you, Kainer. Well, guys, it was a lot of information as I was telling you, and we're going to move to the next part. We have already done this type of activity, the think per share, so somehow you already know the drill. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you what you're going to do. You're gonna read these statements individually, take notes of your answers. First of all, which speakers do you agree with? Which other rules and laws do you find annoying? In the case of number 2, it's not about the listening, okay? It's about you. Rules that exist in our real life that you guys find annoying. And question number 3, do you ever break rules? If so, which rules and in which circumstances? Okay, so remember, the first one is actually related to our listening exercise. Number 2 and number 3, of course, are about you. Number 2, talking about rules around you that you know, guys, that for you are absolutely annoying. And question number 3, if you break the rules and if you consider probably there is a special circumstance when we can actually break the rules, okay? As you know, the first part, that means that you are going to be, let's say, working individually. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to think of your ideas. Then after that, we are going to move to the collaborative part. So for the moment, we are just here. From the first part, guys, do you have any questions about the instructions?
No,
Questions?
teacher.
Questions? Great, good. Let's brainstorm. We are still here on this, let's say, whole room. 3 minutes is starting now. Okay, guys, thumbs up. Remember that on this first part, you were just brainstorming. Now I'm gonna send you to breakout rooms. As usual, the idea, guys, is that first, you share your ideas of the 3 questions. Hopefully you find like a common ground. In case that you can't definitely agree, well, that's life, you know. It is not like an obligation to agree with your classmates' answers. Don't forget to include the answer of the 3 questions. Once again, you already know the drill. You are going to summarize and then you are going to share the ideas. Be ready to share. Similar to the activity that we did the other day, I expect you like to display your ideas. Most of you used the other day like a Word document where you organize the information. I think that's perfect. I don't ask you to create like a poster or PPT. That's not the point. My intention is more for you to socialize the idea that you have. In this case, you are going to have, when we come back, you are going to have 2 minutes to present your ideas summarized. Okay? Guys, do you have any questions about the instructions?
No, teacher.
Okay. I already made the adjustment so you can share your screen. When everybody's on the breakout rooms, I'm going to send you the message that you have 15 minutes. Let's start. Okay, guys, welcome back. As usual, you know the drill. Now we're going to share, or you guys are going to share the ideas that you summarized on your groups. Talking about, or the connection that it had with the previous listening exercise. And also I told you that you were going to have 2 minutes, in this case, to share your ideas. Of course, this is not the final activity of the night. We still have the grammatical component to review. The good thing is that it is a review. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to start, I close the tab of the groups, with group number 2. We had Lisette, Mabel, and William. So which of you guys is the speaker of the group?
Me, teacher.
Okay, great, Lisette.
Okay. The first question, which speakers do you agree with? We were all different. We had different answers. So Mabel agrees with speaker A because she said that if you go to a park or open spaces, it's because you want to exercise or play games with your family or other children. William agrees with the speaker D, excuse me, because he said that if he have some friend who looks younger, that he had some friends that looks younger, and sometimes this is a trouble for them to go to try to enter in a club. And I say that I agree with speaker C because I found annoying to read the terms and conditions and to click that box always when you enter into a website, because anyone read the terms and conditions and there's a lot of pages to read it. The second, which other rules and laws do you find annoying? We find annoying the rule in the companies that says that employers shouldn't have tattoos or piercings, and if they do, they should cover them because it gives a bad image of the company, because we think it is discrimination and knowledge or professionalism isn't measured by appearance. And the last question, do you ever break rules? If so, which rules and in which circumstances? We hardly ever break rules, excuse me. Sometimes maybe traffic rules, or we talked about when we were at school and we take there our phones and it was prohibited, but just that.
Okay. Lisette, thank you very much. I thought that you were going to display something, but that is why I stopped sharing my screen. Interesting ideas, guys, and group number 2, of course. Just a couple of things, Lisette, probably because you were speaking fast. You said there's a lot of pages talking about the terms and conditions. There are a lot of pages.
Okay.
And when you were talking about in the past, with the cell phone, you said we take our cell phone, we took, because you were talking about school.
Yes.
Well, you already finished that, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, Lisette, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Group number 2. Let's go with group number 4. We have Elkin, Jean-Claude, and Johan Alberto. Who's the speaker?
Okay, teacher. Elkin in number 1, he agrees with the second speaker. He agrees with the affirmation. Some people may feel that speed cameras are a way for the government or private companies to generate remunerated than improve road safety. They may also feel that the fines for speeding are too high. Elkin thinks that the accuracy of speed cameras are when that they can produce false readings or unfairly penalize drivers for minor infractions. Johan agrees with speaker number 4 because he said that it's possible to take advantage of technological means. And I agree with the speaker number 4 too, because I consider that the cell phones are tools very important to the education because the cell phone give us the information that we need in the moment. In the point number 2, Elkin said no food in theaters. It's theaters. It's an absolute outrage. What's wrong with bridging in a bag of popcorn or some candy to enjoy during the movie? Why should I pay for the food more expensive than normal? Elkin understands it's the popcorn business, but they should let something in, not that he will let in a beer and a grilled breast. If they want to ban something, let them ban loud people or cell phones, bad food. Johan, in number 2, he say not to run in the corridors because sometimes we are late and it's necessary to get to the place we have to head to faster. And I say don't use cell phone in banks. For me, it's important to use them because in them we have necessary information for an economic transaction or to confirm the movement we made. And finally, in number 3, Elkin say, of course, he has run red lights when he see that there are no cars. Johan say 8 in class because there are times when you can't eat out and you can't stand. And me in number 3, I try don't break rules, but I went to nightclubs as a minor with a false ID.
Okay, Jean-Claude, thank you very much. And group number 4, 4 minutes, Jean-Claude. Pronunciation.
Sorry,
No, I mean, if you had all those opinions, what would we do? Private and minor. Okay, you said minor twice.
Minor.
Talking about the cell phone, you said a tool is very important. Remember that a is always singular, right? So we would say they are very important tools, but a can't go next to something plural. Yes, and you said I try don't to break, I try to not break the rules. But well, you already told the rest of the story. Thank you, Jean-Claude. Group number 1, Andres Felipe, Carlos, and Gerson. Who's the speaker of group number 1?
My teacher.
Okay, Gerson.
Okay. In a summary, about the first sentence, we agree with the first and second speakers when they said about speed limit, specifically when you found a camera and this camera is hidden. We annoying this. About the other speakers, we annoying when you can't play a public space or in a park, play a ball or play other sport. Because if you go at this place, is because you in your home, you having a large space compared with a park. So if you have a child or children, so you must careful and allow other people play different sports. For this, we annoy these rules. And about the second sentence, other rules we annoy continues with limited speeds or topics relationships. We annoyed in a traffic again, put a traffic fine when you overtake other car in a double line in a straight road. It's a straight road. We say a problem overtake. There is in a dangerous. And other rule is relationship with passport or visa. We thinking that you shouldn't a passport or visa to go abroad. Is a limit to know or limit to people go abroad easily. And finally, about break rules, many rules in a summary for this point. When we were child, drink alcohol, alcohol, or a common break rules, be TV or sport by illegal stream, drink and public space, copy books or articles is a common when we were studying and finish teacher.
Okay, Gerson, and of course, group number 1, thank you very much. Just a couple of things. You said we annoying this. Annoying is not a verb, you know, it's an adjective. So we need like to put the verb in the statement. So we could say we found param pam pam annoying. That would be the idea of using it in the statements. Or we think blah, 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 blah is annoying because once again, it is an adjective. You said if you go at this place, I think that is because you were speaking fast, Gerson. Because it would be if you go to this place. And you know, actually it was really interesting that you guys are starting using the modals already. We are going to refresh that information in a minute. Just a little thing. We will see that in a second. Anyway, you said when you were talking about taking the kids to the park, you know, you said you must be careful. And then talking about traveling, you said you shouldn't passport. For example, would be you shouldn't like have a passport or something like that, or you shouldn't need, sería mejor. Taking into account what you were saying, you shouldn't need a passport. And keep in mind, Gerson, that child is singular. You were saying when we were children, okay? But thank you for the summary, Gerson, and of course, group number 1. Group number 5, Juliana and Silvia. Who's the one in charge?
Me, teacher.
Okay, Silvia.
So about the first question, which speakers do you agree with? With with speaker number one because places like open spaces, like parks, are supposed to be built for exercise and sports that you can do it at home. And the second one, which other rules and laws do you find annoying? We think rules that limit the rights of the person are very annoying. And like uh, like how to cut your hair, like to go to school. You can like if you are man, you can go with the long hair. That kind of rules. And about the last question, do you ever break rules? If so, which rules and which circumstances? We tend, in fact, overall, we tend to follow the rules, but within that, we can break the rules for such situations, like to to do some like some things the in a way more easy. And that's it, teacher.
Okay, Sylvia and Julian, thank you very much. I was going to ask you from the previous question that you said, limit the rights of the person. What do you mean by rights?
Like in Spanish, like derechos.
Ah, right. Sorry.
The rights of, yes.
I got rights like
Yes.
increasing. Ah, okay, I get it. Well, now that you corrected me on that part, okay, right? And just one thing, Sylvia, you said in a way more easy, will be in an easier way. Because this is a short adjective,
In
so
an
we
easy way,
an
okay.
easier way. That would be great. Thank you, Sylvia and Julian. Last but not least, as usual, group number 3, Jeanette and Kainer, who's in charge?
Me, teacher.
Okay, Jeanette.
Okay, for the first question, which speakers do you agree with? We agreed with the speaker one because we think a public place is for have fun, go for a walk with your pet or do sport like play football or go running and maybe play with your children. And we agree with the speaker too about cameras on motorways because isn't useful always people break this law, and we think the better way is to have policemen in the motorways that follow drivers that breaks the law. And finally, we agree with the speaker 3 because the policies and conditions about the websites are very bored and we don't read these terms and always create the account or press the button agree only for use the website. For the second one, which other rules and laws do you find it annoying? The restaurant that do not allow the product to take home, we found annoying because we think that you paid for the product and if you want, you can take it for home with you. And with use uniform in school, we think that wearing uniform isn't useful. And for the final question, do you ever break rules? If so, which rules and in which circumstance? Yes, some things we have broken the rules, but they are easy things to deal with, like not wearing the right uniform to school or wearing piercings. And Keiner says that he rolls in his skateboard in the street, and this is a bad way to do sport in the street, the city, because the city has extreme parts.
Okay, Jeanette and Keiner, thank you very much. Just 1 minute, think policies, just say like polishes. Talking about the web pages, like the pronunciation of the word, you know? And you said then at the very, very beginning, is for have fun. If you use for, maybe you remember, guys, in the previous cycle, that we said that there are some cases that we have to put the verb with ing. So it will be is for having fun. Okay?
Having fun.
Having, very good. Well, guys, thank you very much. I know that these type of activities are long and exhausting, but that's how we continue polishing. And it was good to see other names to be speakers, although, well, there's some repeated, but that's okay. Sylvia as well, but there are some cases that some of you would repeat because in the same group, there are already speakers from previous classes. So what can we do? That would be the thing. So I really hope, because I always write down the names of the people and of course the comments that I make about your intervention. So I also see that there are some names that I haven't found being speakers yet, but that would be a situation to deal with on Monday. Well, guys, as I was telling you with your interventions, it was very interesting that you already started thinking about the modals, you know, because we can't deny that with this type of topic, that's the type of grammar structures that we are going to, let's say, review. And I say review because I know that you already know, you already used them in the previous activity. So let's refresh our memory a little bit. It looks like a lot of information, but I'm sure that while I present the slides, that prior knowledge starts to activate on your minds, and then you start using them once again. If we are talking about different categories, our first category would be talking about obligation, right? And then when we're talking about obligation, I'm pretty sure that you are thinking of two particular models. The first one that we have here is have to, but of course, you know, guys, that the other model that we have is must. At the end of the day, if we want to talk about obligation, have to and must are the ones. If we are kind of flexible, let's put it like that, we can say that in the affirmative form, careful with that part, have to and must mean exactly the same, and we can keep it like that. But if we want to be very precise, like very detailed in the difference between both of them, we can say that have to, of course, it is an obligation that comes outside the speaker. For example, we can say that we have to wear a uniform when we were working in reception. So that means that the company, let's say, is making it mandatory for the employees to use the uniform, right? For example, this question, because of course we can use them in questions, when do we have to hand in our homework? So it is implicit that it was an assignment, or it was, once again, a commitment that was given by another person that me as a student has to follow. So that would be like the mini difference. In the case of have to, it is outside. In the case of must, once again, probably it's the most important, and being dramatic maybe, when we're talking about an obligation. It is really, really strong. Usually, we're talking about that it comes from the speaker. In some cases, that means that I know that there is an obligation that I have to follow. That is like the intention. Probably you are thinking about other examples when you have already found must, and you say, but okay, that obligation was named by another person. But you know that one thing is the grammatical rule, but then in social contexts, the use changes a little bit. That is why I need to clarify as much as possible that have to and must at the end of the day provide the same perception. It's something mandatory, like not discretional, you know, it has to be followed. But once again, if we want to make that many difference between them, have to comes from the outside, something assigned, and must is because you know that from you, it is like a kind of rule that has to be followed. But at the end of the day, both of them are obligation, okay? So first set, talking about obligation, have to and must. Questions from this group, guys? Easy. I hope. We're just refreshing our memory. Now we are going to the opposite corner when we're talking about that we don't have obligation. In that case, we use don't have to. We gotta be very careful with the difference between have to being affirmative. That means that it is mandatory. Don't have to. That means that there is no obligation. If you do it or if you don't do it, nothing happens. That's it at the end of the day. For example, you don't have to wear a tie in our office, but some people like to dress more formally. So if you wear the tie, it is okay. If you don't wear the tie, it is okay. Now, keep in mind that, guys, for the moment, we're talking about modals in present. So one version is don't, then we have the other auxiliary. What is the version for the third person, guys? We have don't and the other auxiliary is? Doesn't. Exactly. Very good. So I know that in this moment, I'm just displaying don't, but I know that you know that we have the other modal that is doesn't. So keep in mind that if we talk about he, she, or it, or if I say the name of a person, the name of a place, something singular, it requires the use of doesn't. We can't forget those like basic rules of present simple because we're focusing on modals, of course, but let's not forget that part. So don't have to, it because it is not an obligation. When we're talking about permission, that is the next slide, we have probably the most common word in the world to talk about permission, that is can. You know, we already know that can talks about abilities as well. But once again, according to the context, we know that we are not talking about an ability to do something. We're talking about a permission, or let's say to be allowed to do something. Be allowed to, it's a synonym of can, okay? Different from have to and must, that there is a teeny tiny difference. Can and be allowed to are similar. Of course, when we say be allowed to is because we have to make the transformation of the verb to be. Another silly question. If we're talking about verb to be in present, which three words am I referring to? What is the conjugation of verb to be in present? I know it is a silly question, but let's clarify it in the moment.
Is, are.
And am, right? If we were talking about past, would be was or were, but for the moment, our focus is in present, right? So, notice the example. You are allowed to use your mobile phones after the exam. We have the proper conjugation of verb to be, the other information, and then the main verb. I haven't talked about the main verb yet because all the rules have exactly the same let's say structure on those terms. We will discuss that a little bit. So in the case of can and be allowed to, that means that we are allowed, that it is okay to do something. There is a permission to do something. When we're talking about a prohibition, we use must not and mustn't. These two words, well, because there is a contraction, are the ones related to something that we are not allowed to do under any circumstance. Guys, be careful. In affirmative form, they mean the same, have to and must. But when they are negative, they are the complete opposites of each other. Don't have to, it's because there is not an obligation. If you do it or you don't do it, nothing happens. But mustn't is the prohibition. That means that that action can't happen. So we gotta be very careful, guys. Affirmative, they are synonyms, but negative, they are complete opposite. And mustn't usually is used a lot when we are talking about rules and regulations, right? And being a little bit dramatic, usually mustn't means that there is a kind of negative connotation, like rules can't be broken, you know, more related to that aspect in particular.
Something like a mandatory, something like that. I mean,
Exactly.
like
That's the idea.
like the security stuff.
Exactly.
For
So
security
actually, it is very demanding, like from banks or airports, things like that. It's very, very restricted, actually. Well, we're about to finish this whole review of modals. Of course, we have can't, when we are talking about prohibitions, we can say somehow that it is the less demanding brother, let's put it like that, of mustn't. Anyway, we are talking about something that it is not allowed at the end of the day. It's pretty much the same idea. But if you want to sound stronger, you know, or that the obligation or that the prohibition, sorry, it is actually a serious aspect, keep it with mustn't. Can't has the same idea. If they tell you that you can't use whatever thing, you know that you are not allowed to do it, and that's it. And finally, after all this memory lane, we have should or oughta, talking about obligation. Probably we already know it when we were talking about advice. Should probably is the most common model when we're talking about advice. You know, the best thing to do or to give recommendations. In some cases, it looks like an obligation, you know, because that piece of advice is actually telling us the right thing to do. Like the typical advice that we would give to children. You should finish your homework before you watch TV. So it looks like a piece of advice, but actually I'm telling you that the right thing to do is that, and somehow it is necessary for you to follow it. The formal sibling, once again, would be ora, which means pretty much the same. Ora is a little bit more formal. Probably we find it more on written texts. It doesn't mean that we can't use it in a conversation. That would be a huge lie, you know. But the most common version of the modal is should. Guys, notice that in all the statements, at the end of the day, because we're using a modal, they are exactly the same in terms of the verb, can't take. The verb in like infinitive form. We have must not be, must not park. And we're talking about can sit, be allowed to. After to, we have the verb like normal. Normal is not the word, on base form, actually. All the grammatical combinations have something similar on essence. That is, we have the modal and we don't make any transformation to the verb. No S, no ing, no ed, no nothing. It may look a little bit obvious, but we can't compare it with Spanish, you know? In some cases, it doesn't match. But keep in mind that at the end of the day, the model that we use is depending on the context. Maybe there is something that I consider that it is an obligation, but for another person, it is something flexible. There are other cases that, as you said, probably we are visiting like a government building, that there is a rule that we have to follow. It is not like that flexible. So probably there is a prohibition on that place and I can't change the rule. So the context plays an important role in here, okay? Guys, questions from this part? Guys, before we go, I'm gonna assign you a mini homework, mini homework for Monday, okay? On your book, guys, on page, I left the page. I have to see the page in a moment. Well, I will tell you. Here there are some statements that they are related to the pictures that we analyzed and also the listening that we analyzed. The idea is that you're going to choose the sentence that is incorrect on each group, okay? Page 107. When we say that is incorrect, of course, as you can imagine, it is not because it is incorrect in terms of grammar, it's because it is incorrect in terms of the sense of the idea. Look at the first example. You have to read the terms and conditions. You should read the terms and conditions. You can't read the terms and conditions. Notice that the three sentences are grammatically correct, right? But based on the context that we heard, the third statement is incorrect. It is not like we can't. It is a kind of obligation because we already listened to the information, okay? So that's the idea, guys. Based on the notes that you took, based on the discussion that you had, choose the incorrect sentence, 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? That is the homework. I hope that you don't mind. Questions, guys?
No, teacher.
No question, teacher.
There is a voice breaking. I can't get what you are saying?
Should we send the homework or on Monday we?
Okay, no, it's not necessary to send it. When we start the session, I display this part and then I ask you, you guys, so you don't have to send me anything, just have them ready. Yeah, because we will continue talking about modals even with me on the second part of the
Okay.
session. Just have them ready, don't worry, don't send me anything. Well, guys, as usual, thank you very much for your time. I'm sure that you are really, really tired. Don't forget, guys, next week, final exam. See you on Monday, guys. The page is 107. Take care, everybody.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Bye, teacher.